In this video, I'm going to solve all of the problems from lesson 3-4 in your textbook beginning on page 186. And below this video, I'll provide an index so you could jump to exactly the place in the video that you'd like. Problem number 1 is to solve the inequality 9 plus 4t is greater than 21. In this case, we can simply subtract 9 from each side, and we would get 4t is greater than 12. Next, we can divide each side by 4, so this would be 4t divided by 4 is greater than 12 divided by 4. And then the left side simplifies to t, the right side simplifies to 3, and we have our solution. Now the textbook suggests checking your answer in the following way. First, make sure that when you solve 9 plus 4t equals 21, in this case, you should get 3. That means that you've done your arithmetic correctly. So let's solve this, or let's check this. So 9 plus 4 times 3 equals 21. 9 plus 12 equals 21. That's correct. Now the next part of checking the answer is to pick a number that is not 3 and see if it solves or does not solve the inequality. In this case, since the inequality is t is greater than 3, we're going to check the number 4. And when we do, it should agree with this inequality, make it true. So let's check. If we substitute in 4, we have 9 plus 4 times 4 is greater than 21. This is 9 plus 16 is greater than 21. And this is 25 is greater than 21. And that's correct. So now we know that this answer is correct. Now let's take a look at the got it problems just to make sure that we have it. Take a moment to do these, and then I'll work them out for you. Okay, so in this problem, the first one over here, we are going to add 7 to each side, and the left side will be negative 6a is less than or equal to 24. Now we're going to divide by negative 6. And on the left side we will get a, on the right side we'll get negative 4, and we need to switch the inequality to greater than or equal to. We check our answer by first making sure that negative 4 checks on the equality. So negative 6 times negative 4 minus 7 equals 24 minus 7, which equals 17. So because when we plug in negative 4, we get this negative 17, this positive 17, we know that we've found this point correctly. And now let's choose a number to check, any number greater than negative 4. Well, let's check 0. So we'll plug in 0, negative 6 times 0 minus 7, less than or equal to 17. Negative 6 times 0 is 0, so this is just negative 7 is less than or equal to 17, and this is correct. Now let's take a look at the second problem. We have negative 4 is less than 5 minus 3n. So we can subtract 5 from each side, and this would be negative 9 is less than negative 3n. We can divide both sides by negative 3, so that would give you 3 on this side, and we switch the inequality is greater than n. And I like to make sure that the variable is on the left side. So sometimes when I solve these, I'll rewrite these as n is less than 3. Just kind of flip the whole thing over. So now let's check 3 in this. So here's our check. Negative 4 equals 5 minus 3 times 3. And indeed, negative 4, 5 minus 9 is equal to negative 4. So that checks. Now let's check a number that's less than 3. And we'll check 0. So negative 4 is less than 5 minus 3 times 0. This is negative 4 is less than 5, and that's correct. Okay, and here's the last problem. 50 is greater than 8/10 x plus 30. So we can begin by subtracting 30 from each side. So that would give us 20 is greater than 8/10 x. And then if we divide each side by 8/10, we get 20 over 8/10 is greater than x. 20 divided by 8/10 is 25, so we get 25 is greater than x. And as I said before, we would write this as x is less than 25. And I'll leave it to you to check to see that this is correct. Problem number 2 is a word problem, and I'll summarize it here. You have a garden that is adjacent to your friend's garden. There's your friend's garden. You have 42 feet of fence to cover up your garden, and we want to know what are the possible lengths of your garden. So let's see. So the perimeter of your garden has to be 42 feet or less. So you're going to need 12 feet here and 12 feet here. So that would be 12 plus 12. And then you're going to need W feet here and W feet here. So plus W. And this has to be less than or equal to 42. We can simplify this to 24 plus 2W, and that should be positive 2W, is less than or equal to 42. We subtract 24 from each side, and we get 2W is less than or equal to 18. And then we divide both sides by 2, and we get W is less than or equal to 9. So what that means is that the width of your garden has to be less than or equal to 9. Now let's just check that out to make sure that it's correct. If we use a width of 9, we should get a total perimeter of 42. So that would be 12 plus 12 plus 9 plus 9. That equals 24 plus 18, which is indeed 42. I'll let you work out this got it problem first, stop the video, and then restart to see the answer. So in this problem, we have 18 feet of length on the banner, and we want to know what the possible widths are. Now we have 48 feet of trim, which goes around the perimeter, so that means that the perimeter of the banner has to be less than 48 feet. So in this case again, there would be two sides that are 18 feet, so that would be 2 times 18, and we would add two widths, and that has to be less than or equal to 48 feet. 2 times 18 is 36, plus 2W is less than or equal to 48. We can subtract 36 from each side. 2W is less than or equal to 12, and therefore the width has to be less than or equal to 6. And we can check that quickly. that 2 times the width plus 2 times the length, 18, would give us 12 plus 36, which is indeed 48. So if the width is 6, you get 48, and the width is less, then you have less than 48 feet of perimeter. So this would be your answer. Problem number 3 involves the distributive property. So let's see how that would work. 3 times t plus 1 is equivalent to 3t plus 3 minus 4t is greater than negative 5. We have 3t minus 4t, so that would be negative 1t plus 3 is greater than negative 5. We can subtract 3 from each side, so we would get negative t here is greater than negative 8. And then we can multiply this inequality by negative 1 to get t is less than 8. And remember to switch the inequality when we multiply or divide by a negative. And let's check that out. 3 times 8 plus 1 minus 4 times 8 is equal to 3 times 9 is 27 minus 4 times 8 is 32, and that indeed equals negative 5. So when t is 8, we've done that math correctly. And now let's pick a number t that is less than 8 and see if it's correct. So we'll have 3 times 0 plus 1 minus 4 times 0 is greater than negative 5. This first part would be 3 times 1, so that's 3. Minus 4 times 0 is just 0, so minus 0 is greater than negative 5. So this is 3 is greater than negative 5, and that works out. Now try this got it problem, and afterwards, after you stop the video, then restart it, and I'll show you the solution. So the solution to this would be 15 is less than 5, and then minus 2 times 4m, which is 8m, and minus 2 times 7, that's minus 14. We can add 14 to each side and get 29 is less than 5 minus 8m. We can subtract 5 from each side, so that would leave us 24 is less than negative 8m. And we can divide each side by negative 8, which would give us negative 3. And then we switch the inequality is greater than m. And this is the same thing as m is less than negative 3. And I will leave it to you to check this answer to make sure that it's correct. Problem number 4 is an example of a problem that has variables on both sides, and it works pretty much the same way as equations do. 6n minus 1 is greater than 3n plus 8. We can subtract 3n from each side, and we would get 3n minus 1 is greater than 8. Add 1 to each side, and we get 3n is greater than 9. Divide each side by 3, we get n is greater than 3. And we can check this really quickly. 6 times 3 minus 1 is equal to 3 times 3 plus 8. So this is 18 minus 1 is equal to 9 plus 8. And that is correct. Both sides equal 17. Now, let's take a number n that is greater than 3 and see if that solves the inequality. I'll pick 10. So 6 times 10 minus 1 greater than 3 times 10 plus 8. This would be 60 minus 1 is greater than 30 plus 8, this is 59, is greater than 38, which checks, so we got it right. Once again, work out the got it problems while you stop the video, and then restart to see the solution. Okay, to solve this inequality, we're going to start by adding 2b to each side. So 3b plus 2b is 5b plus 12 is greater than 27. We can subtract 12 from each side and get 5b is greater than 15. Divide by 5 and we get b is greater than 3. And I will leave it to you to check this inequality. Now in this last problem, we have two inequalities that are special cases. For the first one, let's see what happens when we try to solve this. So we start with 10 minus 8a is greater than or equal to, well, 2 times 5 is 10, and 2 times negative 4a is minus 8a. Well, let's just add 8a to each side, in which case we'll get 10 is greater than or equal to 10. Now this statement, 10 is greater than or equal to 10, is always true. So that means that the solution is all real numbers. And you can abbreviate that by simply putting the symbol for the set of real numbers. Now note that this is not infinite solutions. Right? That is not correct, because almost all inequalities have infinite solutions. So for this one, the solution needs to be all real numbers. Let's take a look at the second inequality. Have on the left 6m minus 5 is greater than, well, we have 7m minus m is 6m plus 7. Let's subtract 6m from each side, and we get negative 5 is greater than 7. Now this one is not true, ever. So that means that this is no solution. And you can abbreviate that like this. We'll go to the got it problems. Again, stop the video, work them out, and then start the video to see the solutions. Okay, so we have 9 plus 5n is less than or equal to 5n minus 1. Let's subtract 5n from each side, and we get 9 is less than or equal to negative 1. This statement is never true, so there's no solution. Here, we have x plus 6x is greater than 7x plus 2 minus x. So here we have 8 plus 6x is greater than, well, 7x minus x is 6x plus 2. If we subtract 6x from each side, we get 8 is greater than 2. Always true, so this has all real numbers as solutions.